And for as long as I can, however long you permit me, please give me the strength I need to live.
So when did you become a DMX fan?
If I remember correctly, the first DMX song that I fell in love with was Partyup. And I feel like it's so cliche to say that song because I really feel like that's when he captured a lot of people across like different genres,
right,
or what people would typically listen to. And I remember when that song came out, I don't know, Tay, you might not be old enough to remember, but do you remember when they had mail to order CD clubs where you would get like a magazine? They had them on TV too. You would get a magazine of 1-cent CDs, but you had to buy a certain number of CDs. And so my mom ordered me And Then There Was X, and she also ordered me Life and Times of S. Carter. And I remember I was so excited to finally get the CDs in the mail. And I went to school and came back home. And I don't remember how long I had the CDs before this actually happened, but I went to school and came back home and I was looking for my CDs so I could play it. And I couldn't find them. And my dad had sold them to my cousin that lived like up the hill from us. He was like, you don't need to be listening to that stuff. And boy, I remember I was livid. Like, I was so pissed off.
Oh, wow.
Yep, but I remember that was the first song that I remember hearing and becoming a DMX fan. And it's funny because, you know my mama. My mama is not a rap person, but she would sing that song. She probably ain't never, ever gonna know all the words to the song. But I feel like, yes, I was mad. I feel like her catching on to the song is what made her okay with buying me the CD. Yeah. She probably, I know she didn't know that it was gonna be an unedited version because my mom was real strict about stuff like that. I should say my parents. Yeah. But that's when I fell in love with DMX. And my cousins used to be in their Timberlands and like baggy stuff. You know, that was their way of showing.
That was the era of that time.
And I just remember like, being like, yo, this is dope. Like, I really like him.
Right. What about him made you want to do a tribute?
Quite a few things. Just, of course, to celebrate his life in general. When he passed, I don't know. I just feel like the earth was just never the same. Like, the world will never be the same. And to keep his legacy alive and to honor the fact that he was so transparent about his struggles. Yeah. That's something, aside from his music. Now, I'll never sit here and say that I know every single DMX song, every single DMX lyric, no. Right. What I was most attracted to as I got older was his transparency. The fact that he always showed up as himself. He never really conformed to what I guess most people would say like the Hollywood standards or, you know, certain expectations as you get quote unquote famous. He always stayed true to who he was. Right. And then learning more about his story, I've always been attracted to the story of the underdog. And by underdog, I mean the person whose life circumstances or life situations weren't necessarily in their favor. Right. But they still made the best of it. And so, you know.
And those end up being the best ones.
Exactly. We saw his mountains and his valleys. You know, when he was doing good, he was doing good. And when he wasn't doing so good, he would talk about that too. And I remember it was the Bad Boy Reunion Tour, Charlotte, North Carolina. I can't remember exactly what year that was. But me and my best friend V, we went and we were checking into our hotel. And it was a group of guys downstairs and they were checking in too. And you know me, I'm gonna talk to people everywhere I go. So I was talking to this guy and he had mentioned that he was there as I think he said like the manager for one of the artists that was coming out on tour. So naturally I'm like, who is it? And he kind of hesitated and he was like, well, they bringing out DMX as a guest on the tour. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so ecstatic. And I remember, I don't know why I do know why. Because back then I wasn't as bold and asking for like, just being upfront about the things that you want in life and asking for what you want, asking you shall receive, a closed mouth don't get fed kind of thing. But I will say, if I could turn back the hands of time, I would have definitely be like, you gotta let me meet DMX and get a picture with him. The whole time we were in the hotel, I would hear somebody coming down the hall like, V, is that X? Is that X? Like, I was gonna go out in that hall and make sure I got a photo out with X, but I didn't get to see him in the hotel. But I'll never forget the whole concert. Just knowing that he was coming out and that everybody else in attendance didn't know that, waiting for that moment to happen. And when it did happen, Tay, I still get chills thinking about it. When they brought him out on stage, the arena went freaking bananas.
Crazy.
And it won't bananas in the
so
sense.
no one at the concert knew that
he was a guest.
coming out.
He was a surprise guest.
Wow.
And when, oh my God, I'm getting chills talking about it. And when I say crazy, I don't mean crazy in terms of everybody like, oh my God, it's DMX, and just yelling. The energy shifted. Oh my God, the music was playing. People was like rushing to the front of the stage. And I remember in that moment, like observing that and saying, yo, I really hope that the love that I know we all feel and the admiration that we have for him in this moment, like I really hope he feel that. And I hope the energy that he getting in this moment is enough to take him through whatever he, you know, because we knew about, like I said, we knew about his struggles. And I was just hoping in that moment in his mind, he was like, yo, they really F with me. Like they really F with me.
Yeah.
I never forget that. That was a special moment.
That's deep.
Yo, I get chills thinking about it.
Deep. So where were you when you found out about DMX's death?
So I remember them announcing that he had been rushed to the hospital. Scrolling on my phone, and I saw on one of the blog sites where they said he had been rushed to the hospital. And I know that like the headlines was saying they were saying the worst.
Yeah.
But I'm a person of faith, so I was like, yo, he gonna pull through. He gonna be fine.
Right.
But I do remember feeling this deep sense of like, yo, like, come on, like, you know. And then the whole week after that, I would be at work checking my phone every 15 minutes, like not wanting to miss an update or waiting for an update. I was so, I don't know. I wanted to see that update that said like he was good. Like he pulled through, you know.
Yeah.
It was a Friday. And we were in a staff meeting. And my supervisor at the time, Altavi, she's a DMX fan too. So, you know, she, in other words, she's laid back, chill, one of my closest friends now.
Yeah.
We was holding impromptu staff meeting. And like I said, I was just checking my phone. But I had went to Instagram and refreshed my feed, and it had popped up that he had passed. I just put my phone in, I was just like, fuck. And everybody looked at me and I just started crying. And I was like, he done. He died. And it was just, it was the weirdest feeling. It's not something I can even describe, but in that moment, feeling like as a community, I don't want to say we failed him, but I don't know, it really just shed light on. So I work in the mental health and substance use field.
Yeah.
And really ignited a fire in me just to make sure that I was being even more present for the people that we serve. That was like, I don't know, it just stamped something for me. It was a hard
pill to swallow.
Yeah, it just stamps, I guess it made it even more real. Like, this stuff ain't nothing to play with. And then like, I'm a person, when somebody passes, I always think about kind of moments. Like, what was the last thing they were thinking? What happened right before
they took their last breath? Right.
So then I started thinking about that, and then thinking about things that he shared over the years about his struggles. Was he in that mindset? Was he at peace? It was sad. And to know his family, how they were feeling, and of course his industry friends and all of that stuff. It was so sad. Me and my girlfriend Stacy, we had went out to get lunch after that, and we listened to Slippin on repeat. Listening to that song after he had died, oh my God, it had such a deeper meaning. It's already a heavy and deep song, but then I felt like we were both listening to it with different ears. I don't know, it was just different, and it was such a somber day.
That caught stuff that you should have caught when he was alive.
Or like, even if you heard it and be like, damn, that's crazy.
Like he was really telling a story.
Yes, that song captured his innermost thoughts and feelings, and it was such a sad day. I remember just riding home and listening to different songs, listening to it with different ears.
Actually listening.
Yep. Won't about the beat of the song, and won't about like he spit. It was more like,
he telling
this is really what he's like. This is really him talking about the things that he's struggling with. And it was sad. And I was real about it in terms of like when I would talk to my patients that I knew were, you know, my African American, my black patients. That's my shit, I can say black. When I was talking to patients that I knew identified with that, like certain lifestyles and stuff, like we would have those conversations about, yo, black man, it's so important that you feel supported in this world. You know, like we need you. It ain't talk to somebody when you going through stuff. You can't talk to nobody at home like I'm here, you rocking, I'm rolling kind of thing. But it's like especially black men that I saw, it was what is this black man struggling with that he ain't talking about? Like, right, like what are those experiences for him that, like, if I listen to a song that he made after his passing, like it would make everything else that he's struggling with, or the things that he shares with me, or that I see by like looking at his drug screens or looking at his chart, the things that seem so commonplace, they have such a more in-depth meaning when you really know the ins and outs of somebody's story.
Right.
So,
what's your favorite hit that DMX made?
Ooh, we gotta say Party Up.
Party Up.
I'm like 99.9% sure like that was my first time hearing him. So we got Party Up, we got How's It Going Down, we have Money, Power, Respect that he did with the Locks. We have Ruffryders Anthem, of course. I would say those are probably Slippin. I love Slippin because again, that's just
Party Up. I feel like it's just like the anthem.
Yeah,
y'all gonna make
for sure
me lose my mind.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's definitely crazy. So.
But again, hold on. Like I love his music. But again, like I love his. I could watch DMX interviews
over and over.
Because he's so freaking intelligent. The way that he looks at things and looks at life from like a spiritual standpoint, and he real about like I do this, like I live life and I make mistakes, but at the end of the day, I know my mistakes don't define me. And I feel like that's why he was so comfortable talking about them, because he wasn't attached to those things in a way that a lot of us struggle with, meaning we get a certain level of success, or we think we like somebody in this world, and then we become ashamed to share our story, when that's really what we all here for, to have those experiences. Each one teach one. I have my experiences to share with the next person, so you know, you learn from me, kind of thing. Yeah, I love watching his interviews. Love it.
How has life impacted you ever since DMX died?
Again, I think it just made me more committed to the cause. Really being committed to my own personal journey, of course, and the transparency that I want to show in that, but like the work that I do every day, really showing up every day like this is another day to change the trajectory of generations. Like, let's talk about those things that's uncomfortable. Let's get to the root of these problems. And I'm when I work with patients anyway, I always tell them, like, you the expert. Like, you the person that's living this. I'm just here to help you navigate through it.
And get through it.
Right. That's like true. To pose some questions that maybe you not asked every day, that'll provide you the opportunity to think about things differently. But yeah, it just made me really committed to just seeing people, continuing to see people. Like,
bettering people.
Right. Like, yeah, let's address these drug screens because it's a part of your treatment. But aside from that, what's going on in your life? Like, what's really going on? And that's one thing I definitely take pride in. Like, the professional relationships that I have with my patients, I love it. Like, I love what I do. I love the work that I do. And with all of us, that is the best thing that we can do to keep his memory alive. Like, just to see people and to really be open to like sharing our stories to help the next person along. So
that's true. So we're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
All right. So it's gonna be like this or that.
Okay.
So, party up or slippin'?
Tay. It depends on the mood, and this is why I say this. Perfect example. Last weekend I was in Greensboro for a concert. It was a concert, and they played Party Up. Perfect timing. The crowd went crazy, word for word, bar for bar. We was all in it. But Slippin' is something that I listen to. I remember after he died, I listened to that song literally every day on repeat. Yeah. Again, like just to hit the undertone and what he was saying. And like, I remember one day I was riding to work. You know, I go to work mad early. Yeah. So it was dark outside and it was a full moon. And I remember I just cried my eyes out. And the part in the song when he was talking about, you know, he want to live to see his kids do something more constructive than bids. Meaning he really wanted to see his kids take advantage of life and like really live life outside of like the jail cell. Right. And I remember I just cried because I was like, yo, I always knew 9 to 5 won't for me, but I was like, if my life ended in this moment, like I I have not even scratched the surface of what I know. Yes. And I was like, yo, we really got to be intentional about living every day.
That's true.
It really made me be like, yo, we got to figure this out.
Every day.
Right. So to answer your question, I would say slippin.
All right.
Let's say slippin.
I'm going to give it to you on where the hood at.
You know, I like the hood. Let's say where the hood.
Where the hood at? Okay. And one more.
Okay.
Get it on the floor. Or who we be.
Who we be.
Who we be.
Yep. That's another one of those songs that really captures
the moment.
Or captures like the lifestyle.
That he was living.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's your favorite DMX quote?
It's something that he said at the beginning of Slippin. He said, to live is to suffer, but to survive, that's to find the meaning of the suffering. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't really, again, like just listening to that song, I ain't have an appreciation for that. Like I always thought like that's dope. He said it, that's dope. But when I really thought about that and then I applied it to my own life, like the moments where like I feel like, yo, this is too much. But when you push past that point and you commit to just the journey, you commit to the journey and things are revealed in time, like I really understood what that meant. And that's actually something that I think I'm gonna get tatted on me, because that's how much that's how deep and how real that quote is. So I think that's something else that I'm gonna do in his memory. I'm gonna get that tatted somewhere. So yeah.
All right, so those were some dope answers and everything. And I just want to say that I just want the DMX story to live on.
And it definitely has. Again, across cultures, across, like, the people that get it. And his story ain't for everybody to understand.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it'll definitely live on.
You definitely.
See, to live is to suffer. But to survive, well, that's to find meaning in the suffering.